Bienvenidas, bienvenidos. In honor of the dock workers that are on strike on the east coast of North America, we're going to talk about the fantastic wins of the labor movement in North America just this year. But first, this is Latina Literati. This year has been a monumental year for labor unions and for collective bargaining, for people coming together. Unions are making waves and workers are seeing the benefits. So we're going to talk about some of those wins in this video, and it is important that you wait till the end because we'll also have our favorite part, the book recommendations. Workers in lots of sectors saw increased benefits, better working conditions, higher wages, higher safety conditions as well. And of course, one of the biggest one is in the warehousing and logistics area. Some of the megaliths in this area, UPS and Amazon and others, ensured that their workers, as they collectively bargained and said, these are the things that will make it safer and better for us to work here, they were able to come to union contracts. And so this is really important. These are important wins for working people in North America. But in order to achieve these better working conditions, higher wages, better health benefits, and others, doesn't happen even though the win may come this year. It has taken years of organizing, collective bargaining, of convincing people to come together and to demand the rights that in many, many other countries are taken for granted. An example, in other countries, in most of the civilized world, you don't have to worry about health care. Everyone has health care. You don't have to worry about education. Education doesn't cost you anything. There isn't an issue with housing. If you need housing, you get housing. And so when these things are available in so many other places, it's disheartening for workers in North America to say we have to work so hard for the pillars of a dignified life that exist in other civilized nations. Why do we have to catch up and not start where everyone else already is? And I understand it. I see the frustration every day when I speak to people. So that's why coming together and demanding our rights is so important. Another example of a historic win is, of course, the United Auto Workers that went out on a historic strike for over a month, but they were able to collectively bargain for better pay, better working conditions, job security, and the commitment to produce electric vehicles here in the United States. And why is that important? Because since the time of Henry Ford, it is understood that if your consumers are also your workers, it is better to keep all of those resources circulating in the economy, in the local economy. So if the electric vehicles are manufactured here, then the people here will purchase them and the profits stay here in our communities, in the states, in the areas that produce these vehicles. So that's why it's so important. And this win has been precedential. It has been a precedent, and it has set a new bar for other industries, for other workers to say, wait a minute, let's ask for these equitable changes. Let's ask for better working conditions, safer working conditions. Let's do better in the workplace because the North American worker deserves it. Interesting that the new president of Mexico was just inaugurated, and the last president tripled the minimum wage. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? So asking for a living wage rather than just looking at minimum wages is a real ask. It's a real precedent that people are talking about now. We shouldn't be talking about any minimums. We should be talking about a living wage. What do you need to live a life in dignity? So those are the things that we need to focus on as we continue these amazing wins in the labor movement. Nurses in the largest states of California and New York were able to negotiate wonderful contracts that lowered their patient ratios, which makes it a safer place to care for their patients. They say they can now focus on caring for their patients and not think about burnout or understaffing or worrying about, what they can't or cannot are able to handle. So these are really important for those caring for the ill in our hospitals. We are, of course, incredibly grateful to all the healthcare workers, and we want them to know that through the benefits they receive. All of these wins are only made possible by dedicated thousands of people that come together and say, this is what we need to do better, to gain more, to be able to collectively bargain, and that balance of power in the workplace between management, owners, workers, and also consumers, because consumers have a lot to say about it. I mean, when we support companies, especially local companies, that treat their workers well, we're telling them, we support you, we are with you. In fact, I remember I didn't taste a grape. I didn't taste iceberg lettuce until I was a teenager. Why? Because I was raised in a union household. My father helped set up the teachers union in Berkeley, and there was no way that we were ever going to go in and buy grapes while the farm workers were out on strike. And so I never tasted grapes until I was a teenager, and I never tasted iceberg lettuce, because we had an absolute rule in our house that you do not cross a picket line. You support the workers, because in the end, we are all workers. We are all part of the economy, and we lift each other up by coming together and supporting each other. And so that's my message today, in honor of the dock workers, whose profits, the profits of the containers, we all know everything around us has gone up in price, everything. And one of the reasons is the containers that bring things from other countries have tripled, quadrupled. You can't imagine how high the prices of sending those containers by ship, how high those prices are. And so the owners of these container companies, of these shipping companies, are making so much money. They are giving themselves billion dollars in bonuses every year, and the workers are not sharing in, some people would call this price gouging, but in the incredible increase of the prices of shipping containers. In fact, I think there's a website, you can actually see the ships going through the Panama Canal. If I find it, I'll include it in the description box. But I wanted to share with you some of these incredible wins and how exciting it is that people are coming together and are gaining better working conditions for all. So, of course, this is dedicated, as I mentioned, to the dock workers in the East. And now for my favorite part of the video, the book recommendations. The first book I'm going to recommend to you is The History of America in 10 Strikes. What a wonderful book. I mean, this book goes through the beginning of the labor movement, something as earth-shattering as people say, oh, the slaves were emancipated through Emancipation Proclamation. Actually, they just stopped working. Knowing they had the right to stop working, they literally just stopped working. The enslaved people basically just took away their free labor, and that's what actually freed them. Fascinating book. Again, 10 strikes that give you the whole history of America. Truly recommend it. I am sure that you will find it in your local library and or your local bookseller. So please check with them first. We always include links for independent booksellers in case you want to purchase these books new or used. You'll definitely enjoy this one. This one was really, really good. The second book, I think I recommended in the past, in some past video, but it's really, really worth it. Again, wonderful book. It is called From the People Who Brought You the Weekend, and it starts way back with indentured servants as the colonizers arrive, and they bring with them people that are indentured with them, all the way to the modern Silicon Valley workers that are basically encouraged never to leave their work. So there's a gym, and there's a cafeteria, and there's dry cleaning, and there's all the services so that you do not leave your cubicle. Also a type of indenturement, in my opinion. But in any case, fabulous book. I've recommended it before, I'll recommend it again, and I know you will enjoy these reads. We would love you to subscribe to Latina Literati. We would love you to tell us what you're reading. What do you think about this video? What do you think about the workers and labor movement in North America today? I would love to hear from you. And as always, con mucho cariño, mucho salud, mucho amor. Gracias.